Now, I got Chuck on because he's been demonized by the Southern Poverty Law Center and others, and they tell horrible lies about him and try to demonize him because he's a leader, and he's having an effect out there. And he was demonized in the MIAC report, along with Ron Paul, and they said, this is the enemy of the government. This is who the police are being trained to take on. And now we know from the Washington Post, confirming what we'd already covered, that there's 854,000 private spies. The threat fusion centers are merging the military and police. The CIA is over that. They're basically having School of America-type secret police training for the police. And it's so frightening. It's being done by the offshore banks who want global government on record. Global government's now been announced. It's happening. And we've got to reach out to our military and police now. We, of course, played a clip of Stuart Rhodes talking about that in the last hour with Oath Keepers. But I wanted to get into his new article, D.C. Declares War on the States. We'll also jam in Chris in Arizona and Clarence in Oklahoma, who are former military, want to comment on that we've confirmed the Austin SWAT team and others, this is in the Fort Hood Sentinel, are training to lock down cities, are training for gun confiscation in Iraq. So this is so incredible what's happening. They're trying to turn the military and police against us. We've got to reach out to them now and educate them like our lives depend on it. Chuck Baldwin, great to have you on with us, sir.
Thank you, Alex. Good to be with you again.
Let's break down your concern with what's happening in our world. The globalists are now out of the closet. You've written an excellent piece. D.C. declares war on the states.
Yes. And, of course, that's exactly what this lawsuit against Arizona is. It is a declaration of war against the sovereignty and the independence of that state, and by implication, against every state in the country. Without a doubt, the Obama administration, and the administration before him, quite frankly, had no desire to honor the laws of our country and to do something substantive against illegal immigration. They in fact, under George W. Bush, the floodgates were opened, and over half, I would guess, of all of the illegal immigrants that are in this country today came across the border since George W. Bush became president. And now that Arizona has stepped up to the plate and said, okay, federal government, you're not going to do it. We're going to defend ourselves. We are going to stop this invasion against our state, against our citizens. Our people are being killed, and properties being destroyed. We cannot afford the crime and everything else that goes along with this invasion. And they did what any sensible people would do, that is, they decided to defend themselves. And what does the federal government do? It decides to file a lawsuit against the state. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that is a declaration of war against the state of Arizona.
Well, I agree with you, and I had Sheriff Babu on and made some state and national headlines last week. And I said, is it not treason when you have a crime wave? Arizona is now the capital of kidnapping in the U.S., starting to mirror Mexico City. You have police being killed, farmers, ranchers being killed, 80-plus miles of the state, federal signs up saying, don't go down this road, don't go in this national park. You have just incredible crime waves. Mexico is a failed state, has collapsed. The State Department even admits that. And then Arizona says if we pull somebody over for speeding or drunk driving, this is what the bill says, and they are an illegal alien upon first contact, we're going to take them to jail. And the feds say, not only are we going to sue you, we're going to support the sanctuary cities. This is the SPP globalization. Is it not, with Bush signing it and Obama continuing it, high treason? The definition of high treason is siding with a foreign power against your sovereignty and your interest. Is it not high treason to be leaving our borders wide open and then trying to block a state when they're begging for aid and literally under attack?
I have no problem with your definition, Alex. I think that what has been going on in Washington, D.C. for quite a while is nothing short of treasonous. What you consider in Los Angeles, 95% of all outstanding warrants for homicide, 95% in 2004, the last year we have stats for this, were targeting illegal aliens. Up to two-thirds of all fugitive felony warrants were for illegal aliens. Some reports say that 83% of warrants for murder in Phoenix, 86% of warrants for murder in Albuquerque, New Mexico, are for illegal aliens. Remember that illegal aliens kill something like 12 American citizens every single day. And they've killed more American citizens that have been killed in Iraq and Afghanistan combined, and they kill that many each year. And then they kill another 13 by drunk driving on the streets of America.
Every day.
Every single day. And you think about the death and carnage, not to mention the crimes that you alluded to a moment ago. And this is a war. This is war against the people of the United States of America, and the border states are feeling the brunt of it. And I thank God for Jan Brewer and the people there in Arizona, and all the American people need to support these folks.
Now, meanwhile, the feds are doing everything they can to leave illegal aliens alone. It's on record that in sanctuary cities, they let them go for drunk driving, assault. Just, it's incredible. In major cities like Oakland, the police are announcing they're not going to respond to burglaries, grand theft auto, cutting power lines, and 37 other crimes. But there's unlimited federal money to federalize police and train them in intelligence meetings that we have video of, that the Founding Fathers are bad. I have that in my film, Road to Tyranny. That gun owners are bad. That returning veterans and constitutionalists and Chuck Baldwin and Ron Paul are bad. And the Gadsden flag is bad. And the American flag on a car is bad. I mean, this is absurd. This is like Monty Python or something.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, this is the world we live in today. I just produced a column today, Alex. You should be getting it shortly, called Top Secret America. The rest of the story, I take off on that Washington Post report that came out, last week, talking about the secret government. Of course, they do more of a cover-up than anything else, the Washington Post, you can imagine. But by virtue of what they do bring to light, I think just gives verification to things that you and I have been talking about for a number of years, and that is that there are elements within our federal government that have designs against the freedoms and the liberties of the people, that do not want to uphold their office to the Constitution. They are using the military establishment to train for the purposes of potentially corralling and subduing the American citizenry. I give some quotes in my column today from Joel Skousen's World Affairs Brief, who's done some excellent research into what's been going on the dark side of these federal police agencies, and how they're training some of these people over in Iraq to find out which ones are going to be ruthless enough, which ones are going to be unprincipled enough, which ones can they use as little killing machines to turn on the American people whenever they feel it's necessary. The NSA is involved in all kinds of dark and sinister activities, and I go into some of that in my column today. Just the stuff that you've been talking about for a long time. But now then, as you said, it's out in the open. They used to try to hide it. They're not hiding it anymore, and I think more and more of the American people are beginning to wake up, quite frankly.
Well, again, Chuck Baldwin, presidential candidate, 2008 Constitution Party, joins us. We'll give you his website in a moment to read his great columns. We also carry them at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. But everything in that Washington Post report, as you said, is a whitewash. Infraguard is there. They don't mention that. With license to kill orders, with tens of thousands. At the time, 4 years ago when it leaked, it was 50,000 plus. The clergy response teams, we got that 3 years before it was mainstream news. Now they admit tens of thousands of preachers are giving FEMA teaching materials, saying render unto Caesar, Romans 13, go to the FEMA camp, turn your guns in, take the inoculation. This is a giant, strategic, secret program with millions of spies, federalizing police, using Iraq as a laboratory to create ruthless killers, to then come back and tell them, Chuck Baldwin, Ron Paul, they're the enemy. You have the New York Times with the Explorer Scouts and other reports saying they're training to take on disgruntled vets. People laugh, well, those are 14-year-old kids. Well, that came out 2 years ago. In 2 years, they're going to be 18. They're 16 now. It's happening nationwide. The LAPD's taken over the Boy Scouts. They're openly training them to wage war against the American people. This is how Germany fell. This is how China fell. This is what Russia did. This is textbook 100% red alert, and it's going on right behind the curtain, and now the curtain's coming back, and we see it. And I know I'm ranting, sir. I'm just so worried. This is so real. Nobody thought we'd have government-run health care. Nobody thought they'd start all these new wars. No one could believe all this surveillance and the bank stealing trillions. But it's all happening.
Sure. And as I say in my column today, basically all of the safeguards that were put in place by the Founding Fathers to protect our freedoms constitutionally have dissipated one by one, and to the point that now, as I see it, Alex, we only have two defenses left. And I think, number one, we have state autonomy, state sovereignty. And I think what Jan Brewer and her fellow Arizonans are doing is just the first shot across the bow. It won't be the last.
And it's got the globalists scared, and other states are lining up saying...
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at Montana and Tennessee that passed the Firearms Freedom Act in their state. You got a legislator in the state of Georgia who's passing similar legislation, except it deals with all products, not just firearms.